10th standard students, today I am going to explain this lesson. The girl who was Anna Frank, who was Anna Frank. By Louis D. Jong. Explanation here. First, what you have to do is you write down the glossary words, meanings of it, and then take down the summary, the explanations. Now, note on the author, Louis D. Jong. 24th April 1914 to 15, March 2005, in Amsterdam, was a Dutch journalist and historian specializing in the history of the Netherlands in World War II and the Dutch resistance. Note on Anna Frank, the diary of a young girl. There was one girl called Anna Frank during the time of Hitler's war. Is a book of writings from the Dutch language diary kept by Anna Frank. Anna Frank had kept a diary. Day-to-day events she used to write. It was written while she was in hiding for 2 years for her family during the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands. When Nazis had occupied Netherlands, and she was in the hiding place, that is the annex, and there she has written the diary. The day-to-day occurring events. The family was apprehended in 1944, and Anna Frank ultimately died of typhus in the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, and Anna Frank died in the Hitler's camp. The diary was retrieved by map, and they had one lady assistant at that time, and she had, after her death, she found the diary, and that diary was handed over to her Anna's father, who gave it to Anna's father, that is, his name is Otto Frank, the only known survivor of the family. He was the person who survived in Hitler's war. Others, Anna's sister died, Anna died, Anna's mother died. The diary has now been published in more than 60 different languages. This diary is printed in 60 different languages. Anna Frank is a Jewish girl, and Hitler was against the Jews, who had to go into a hiding during World War II to escape the Nazis. To escape from the Nazis, that is Hitler, she had to go to a hiding place. She kept a diary while in hiding in Amsterdam. When she was in Amsterdam, she had maintained a diary. Anna and the others in hiding were discovered and deported in the concentration camps. Anyhow, the Nazis camp discovered these people in the hiding place, arrested them, and were sent to the concentration camps of Hitler. Of the 8 people in hiding, only Anne's father Otto Frank survived. 8 people were hiding there. Out of 8, only Otto Frank survived. Means his daughter Anne, his elder daughter, his wife, his friends, partners, everybody died. In 1933, Hitler took over as the leader of the German government. Hitler became the dictator of the German government. Otto and Edith Frank, Otto and Edith Frank were deeply worried. These people were worried. Not only were they Jewish, the economic crisis at the time caused many problems. Not only they were Jewish, but the economic condition also went so low that they had to suffer a lot. When Margot was called up to be sent to the German labor camp, Otto and Edith decided that it was too dangerous for them. They decided that it was too dangerous for them. They went into hiding place with family in the secret annex. There was one secret place, and in the annex, they hid themselves. The Franks as well as 4 other Jews went into hiding. 4 other Jews were also there, and they also went in the hiding place that is Amsterdam, where the place, and they hid there. Anne didn't just keep a diary during her time in the secret annex. She also wrote short stories and collected sentences written by other authors in a book. Anne not only maintained a diary, but she wrote short stories. Anne hoped for her diary to be published as a novel after the war. Anne wanted to get the diary published after the war. What was the event of the war? What was the result of the war? And what was the repercussion of it? That's why she started rewriting it. But Anne didn't finish her work. Anne could not finish her work. She and her other people in hiding place were discovered and arrested. Because she could not complete her work because she and other people were arrested. On 4th August 1944, everyone in the secret annex were arrested. On 4th August 1944, all the people who were hiding in the hiding place were arrested. Someone had betrayed them. Someone had given that report that they are hiding here. They had deceived them. They were deported first to the Westerbork transit camp. First they were taken to transit camp and then on at Asquith. Then they were taken to Asquith. And they were sent to Asquith and from there to the extermination camp at Bergen-Belsen. Then afterwards she was taken to Bergen-Belsen, where she died of typhus in March 1945. And Anne died in the month of March 1945 at the age of 15. This girl was only 15 years old. She died. Anne and her sister Margot were among the more than 1 million. Anne and her sister, about 1 million Jewish children who died during the Holocaust, during this destruction. More than 1 million Jewish children were killed. Otto Frank was the only one from the secret annex to survive the camp. And here, who survived? That is, Anne's father, Otto Frank, he survived. The other people in the hiding in the secret annex perished in different concentrations, and other people were taken to different concentrations and there they died. Concentration camps. After Asquith was liberated, when this was liberated, when they got freedom, Otto returned to Amsterdam. Otto came back to Amsterdam. On his journey back, he heard of his death. His wife also died. He came to know when he was released. Back in Amsterdam, he went to see Map and Jane Geese. He hoped Anne and Margot might still be alive. What he thought that his children may be still alive when he came to know that his wife died. But still he had hopes that his children might be surviving. But then discovered that they too had not survived in the war. And there he came to know that his two daughters also died in the war. Map then gave him Anne's diary. Map was his assistant, typist. She gave the diary to Otto Frank. Otto read his daughter's diary. After that, he was all alone. He read her diary. He was surprised by her deep thoughts and feelings. And he was more surprised by the thoughts of this girl's feelings. Anne wished her diary to be published after war. It was her wish, Anne's wish, that her diary should be published. At first, Otto was not sure what to do. In the beginning, Otto was in very utter confusion, what to do. But eventually, Anne's wish was fulfilled. But afterwards, Anne's wish was fulfilled. Anne Frank's diary called The Secret Annex. The title of the diary was The Secret Annex, was published on 25th June 1947. This diary came to be published on 25th June 1947. It has been translated, and adapted to both film and theatre. Film was also made on this diary. People all over the world got to know Anne Frank's story. People all over the world came to know the story of Anne Frank and are deeply touched by her story. And these people who read her story, who saw the film of this girl, were touched. Otto Frank answered thousands of letters Otto Frank received from other places. He answered each and every letter from people and read his daughter's diary. He spent the rest of his life working for human rights and respect. Afterwards, he started to work for human rights and respect for the people. This is what it is. You all do one thing, children. You go on writing the explanation what I have given here, and also touch the question answers to the text pertaining here. Write down the question answers, write down the meanings. Why does the professor say, I have read Anne Frank's diary? So one professor told, one of the inspirational aspects of the diary is that by example, it shows us how to move away from destructiveness and open ourselves to the flow of divine love. How to get out of the danger. This becomes apparent in many diary passages where Anne expresses her spiritual awakening. She has given about her spiritual awakening. She has guided people that this occurred at the tender age of 13 to 15, this age, at this age, and under life-threatening conditions is a part of her miracle. This is one of the miracles. Otto Frank served in the German army Anne's father served as an army officer during the First World War. During the First World War, he was in army. He worked in the bank. His family ran until it collapsed in the early 1930s. He used to run a bank, and that collapsed in the early 1930s. When he and his family moved to Amsterdam, he started a company that sold spices. Then he started a business of selling spices. The diary had sold millions of copies in many languages. And whichever the diaries he had written, millions of copies were sold. It is also a valuable teaching tool to sensitize students in classrooms on humanity. What is humanity? you can learn on Anna's diary. See the scenes here, how many people, father, Otto Henrik Frank, mother, Hollander, sister, Margot, Betty, and Anne. People found her to be a tender and emotional. She was also outspoken, energetic, and extroverted girl. As the tide of Nazis rose in Germany and anti-Jewish decrees encouraged attacks on Jewish individuals and families, Frank decided to evacuate his family to the safer western nations of Europe. Otto Frank wanted to go to western nations of Europe, and along with Otto Frank, Mr. Van Daan was there. He was also a refugee whom Otto Frank took as his business partner. So Van Daan was the partner for the business with Otto Frank. The complete staff who were working there liked Otto Frank's warm personality. They liked Otto Frank. They admired his courage and evident care. All the people admired his evident care he took to give his two girls a good education. He made up his mind to give good education to his girls. Anna Frank's family could not afford to travel, so they were lucky that they and especially Anna Frank had many friends whom they interacted with. Anna had so many friends. Margot Frank was called up for deportation, hence forcing the family to go into hiding. Margot, the sister of Anne, was called by the Nazis for deportation, and this forced them to go into hiding place. They hid in the upper floors of Otto Frank's office. Otto Frank's office was there. Upper floor of the Otto Frank's office, they hid there, called the annex. This upper floor was called annex. The rooms were secretly prepared to house both the Frank and the Van Daan families. Both Otto Frank's family and Van Daan's family hid in the annex. The Franks were joined by the Van families and 16-year-old Peter, and then in November, a dentist and a friend of the family. They were 8 of them. So in total they became 8 of them. Now all the 8 of them, the dentist and all, they hid in this annex, 8 of them. 4 employees of Otto Frank were the helpers. 4 employees were helpers. They used to help Otto Frank for the duration of their confinement. Now Anna, she wrote short stories and collected sentences written by the authors in a book. She wrote short stories too. Anna hoped for her diary to be published as a novel after the war. She wanted her diary to be published after the war. Anna Frank started writing in her diary on 13th birthday and also wrote tales during the hiding period. And on her 13th birthday, that was at the age of 13, she started writing this diary. And this book was given her by her father as a present diary. The diary became even more important to Anna during the hiding period because she could entrust it with her innermost thoughts. So all her innermost thoughts she wrote in the diary. Anna was an extrovert who loved chatting. This girl loved chatting with others and being with people. She always found herself in people. Now she was isolated from everyone. Now she was separated by everyone except her immediate family. Only with her family, because she had to go in the hiding place. She felt like a songbird that was trapped in a cage. It had become to Anna like a bird caught in a cage. feeling only the darkness and experiencing no freedom. She found only darkness in the hiding place and no freedom at all. Anne says that her mother did not understand her. Anne wrote her innermost thoughts in her diary and she wanted to be kept secret until they were out of the secret annex. So Anne wanted to keep this diary very secretly without bringing to the notice of the family members till they were released. Anne Frank symbolizes the spirit of racial and social tolerance. Here, how she tolerated social tolerance is also there. Therefore, the writer called her a courageous leader. So, the writer of the book, he called her a courageous leader. People who survived the Holocaust, people who survived from this Nazis' trouble, recalled seeing Anne, her head shaved, cold and hungry, and her skeleton-like form draped in the coarse, shapeless, striped grab of concentration camp. A week after the Frank family had been arrested, Map had boldly returned to the secret annex and found Anne's diary. What happened? Map, who was the assistant of Otto Frank, she came back to the annex hiding place and she found the diary of Anne Frank. The Nazi police would have punished her for protecting the 8 Jews. The Nazi police would have punished her for protecting the 8 Jews. Mr. Frank was still coping with the loss of his entire family, and reading his daughter's thoughts made him grieve for them every few lines. Every few lines when he used to read, the tears used to roll down his cheeks. His daughter Anne wanted her books published and he decided to fulfill her wishes. And her wishes remained incomplete after her death, and her wishes were fulfilled by her father. He also wanted to share with the world her insights into human nature and her own grip at such a young age. So this is all about Anne Frank. After the war, it was estimated of the 107,000 Jews deported from the Netherlands between 1942 and 1944. Only 5,000 survived from this. An estimated 30,000 Jews remained in the Netherlands, with many people aided by the Dutch underground. Approximately 2/3 of this group survived the war. Anne's diary gave them an insight into a world of destruction from the viewpoint of a young person trapped in a vicious world, a world of hatred that should have worn out her spirits, but in fact it did the opposite to Anne, and she held on to her hope in mankind more strongly than ever. Anne's diary made her more strong, though she was not dead. This is all about Anne's diary. I have explained the lesson. Children, homework I will give here. Home assignment. Homework number 1, write down the glossary word glossary words 2 times. Number 2, take down the explanations. Explanation explains on 16/12/2020 write down the question answers. On anything. Number 4, write down write down the RCs given in your textbook. This is all for today. Tomorrow I will see which lesson is to be taken. Thank you.